Why is it that some spirits seem to come through all the time very clearly, whereas other ones, and maybe ones that you really want to hear from, don't? One of the first reasons is maybe they're just not ready. And that can be a little annoying, right? Especially if you maybe really want answers. Maybe there's some unresolved things around this person's passing that you are just really wanting to understand or have clarity around. And while I totally get that, one thing you got to remember is that they're a person too. And they are also dealing with processing everything that's taken place. So while you may be ready to talk about it, maybe they aren't. Another reason can sometimes be that they just aren't the best communicator. And I gotta say, I can't totally explain why this happens, because I've even had people that were larger than life in life, and yet they're not good communicators in spirit. I think this is clearly something super complex, but part of it does seem to be around how their mind works and in the way that they understand communication. But that's not to say that they can't come through. And I do think that a big part of that also leans on the medium. I certainly experience this every day in readings, and I know many other mediums can probably relate, where some communicators are just a joy to work with. They are so strong, so clear, bring through the most incredible evidence. And then there's other communicators where it's a lot of effort to try to kind of squeeze out information, but it is doable. Another reason to keep in mind, which is unfortunate, but the truth, is that it may be the medium. And there's two reasons for this. The first reason may be that the spirit person that you're wanting to come through doesn't vibe with the medium that you're seeing. And you got to think of it this way. This is just like meeting people as a living person. We don't all vibe with each other. We don't all have good fluid conversation with one another because we're just different. And that's okay. If anything, it's a good thing. That's why I feel we need lots of different types of mediums, because it's not going to be a one-fits-all type of situation. So I have certainly had many situations where I do a reading and I bring through someone that has never come through before because they feel that my background is a good fit for them to be able to finally bring through the messages that they feel are really important too. And think of it this way, if you think from their perspective, if I had like a very important message to give my loved one and I didn't feel that the medium that my loved one was going to could really understand me and maybe convey what I'm trying to say properly, I would wait. And the other reason, which is an unfortunate truth, is it may be that the medium is just not well trained. Some mediums don't know to look elsewhere in their field of view in terms of communicators. And a lot of times I think that this is a subconscious thing, but they may make assumptions or may think, well, that's not possible, or this person couldn't possibly have a parent in spirit or so forth, right? And so they just block that possibility out of their mind entirely. I see this happen a lot, unfortunately, with more tragic or unusual passings. So such as the loss of a child, the loss of a parent when you're young, things like that. And it's unfortunate because really, if we're just trained properly to not make that assumption and to always take pause and look to see if there's anybody else wanting to come in, I do think that it would go better. So in conclusion, I would say if you are feeling frustrated that maybe a particular person hasn't come through yet, keep some of these things in mind, and also just know that this doesn't mean that your loved one isn't there, and it doesn't mean that they don't want to speak to you. It just may be a few different circumstances, but I often find that they definitely come through when they're meant to.